Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics pre-lockout chat. I'm your host, Bales. You can find me at BalesDT, and he's back joining me once again after not, unfortunately, being able to jump on Sunday night. Is Tim, mate. Tim, how you doing? How's the week been?
Took a week off a little bit too literally, didn't I, mate, from the Content Creators Cup. Look, mate, it was last week was brutal for me. So, we talked on the Spaces last week how I got absolutely spanked in the family court, and then I didn't put the VC on Bont, and I can't tell you, I'm not sure which was worse, but then the weekend just got worse from there. So I had my kids on Saturday. I think I had my VC on Merritt, I think it was.
Yep, I was the same.
Who, he went all right. Was happy to take a 128, but by the time I got rid of the kids and not got rid of them, off and got to be a bit careful with my language right now. All my bench players had played. So I missed that. I missed the kind of the 5 o'clock game, sort of, the night games, and I couldn't loop it. So I thought I'd take a run with Rowan Marshall. I know Carlton was a bit of a tough ruck matchup, but Tom De Koning seemed to be playing a bit more ruck the week before, and he's easier than Pitt. So. But 116. So, that once again cost me 12 points. And then, Wanganeen, Malera, Gavin, it was my uniques that had me rocketing up the ranks for the past few weeks. Kind of hurt me a little bit. And what did I score? 2290 and dropped from rank 240 to 467. So, hat chase is over for sure now. Up against Nathan this week. And, man, I'm nervous. I am nervous. So what do we got at the moment? So we both got Dacos, so we'll both most likely, I think, trade him to Sicily. Then he's got Jackson, Brayshaw, Newman and Doc. And I've got Petrarca, Wanganeen, Miller and Butters and, whoever else. There's a trade. Oh, hang on, there's a trade I've got to do there as well. So there's one more trade I've got. I just got to try and figure out what I'm going to do because, I've got to try and get a leg up over Nathan this week to survive and make it through to the grand final. But I think Mitch is the same. He's up against Louis, and I think Louis got an injury, though. He had JJ. So, I don't know, that might have given Mitch a little bit of a slightly easier run into the grand final. But, it's all coming down to the serious part of the season, mate.
Yep, yeah, exactly right. I'm still trying to climb my way up. It'd be good to sort of finish in the top sort of 5 or 6 overall in terms of overall ranking. But we're sort of salvaging a little bit late. But as I was mentioning to you on the phone before, got a cash league I'm in through to the prelims. So I've got the week off this week. So at least I can hopefully take some cash from this year. That'd be
nice. Where are you ranked now, Bale?
2582. So
that's
moved up about 100 and
really,
spots.
Yeah. So you could probably get inside the top 2K from here, right?
Yeah, that's the goal. And the main goal is if I can try and get top 1,000, but moving up 1,500 spots with 3 weeks to go, you probably got to move up 500. Well, you got to move up about 500 spots a week. So that still could be a possibility, but I'm probably going to have a few good weeks and some good captains to get there. So
probably just do want to take a moment to kind of focus on that. Because I think it's worthwhile reflecting that, there's you're not the only one. There's a lot of other coaches that had some, real tough luck at the beginning of the season. Whether it was a Cherry, whether it was a number
Josh
of
Kelly, Tuke Miller, other guys like that.
You had so many. You've had some real rough luck, and for a while there, you're looking at deleting your team, but you bounce back, and inside, finish off inside the top 2,000. I think that's a really, really good. Good way to finish for the year.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, it would be good to finish inside top 2K. It's very, very similar to how my year went last year, except last year was probably a few silly calls, paying up for a few players when I shouldn't have. Whereas this year, I went for the value, but then they either got injured or didn't do what I needed. So it's the second half of the year's been good. So hopefully we can have a whole year next year where we actually go well.
And not Just having a look. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not sure how this sounds, right? Actually, I was about to say this, and then I looked down, and I'm like, oh shit, he's on the Twitter space. But I was going to say, like, I mean, look at coaches like great coaches, right? Like Holmesy's heroes and
DC
and
DC,
Jeppa,
another one.
Yeah, DC, I mean, they're, ranked around that kind of 5,000 mark. DC's around about that 3,000 mark. Stato about that 5,000 mark. Like, it's been a really tough year.
Very weird year. Yeah.
For really good coaches, and that's not to say that all good. I mean, some good coaches have shown how good they are this year as well. Have played really well. So, but that's what makes this game so good. And with everything out there now, it means the quality of the competition is so much better. And it just makes it more competitive and, I guess to some extent more fun.
Yeah, exactly right. So, but yeah, we got plenty to sort of talk through today with just the main day cost thing. But we got a few people listening in. So, Warney, I've seen just jumped on there. Holmesy's there. Liam, Bindi, if any of you guys want to jump on for a chat. I think I've sent a request to each of you, but if you want to sort of request to jump on, then feel free to jump on.
I'm just going to personally, for the sake of the other listeners, make a plea to the guys to get on because I checked out a bit this week, so I've done a huge amount of research. So I may not be the best provider of, advice this week.
Yeah, no, that's all good. That's all right. Well, my moves this week, I'm looking at a couple of options. We were obviously talking about that on the phone before, and Bindi put his thumb down, so he can't jump on. I'm assuming that's what that means. That's all good, Bindi, mate. But yeah, my moves, I'm looking at going.
Sorry, was that Bindi or
yeah,
Mini?
Bindi. Yeah, put the. Oh. But yeah, I'm
dad joke number one.
Dacos will be going to a midfielder because I had Dawson/Doherty in my mid, so I'll be going to. At this stage, it's either Laird and then going a Darcy Cameron to Luke Jackson and having 22 premiums, or I can go Dacos to Sarong and then I can go Chesser up to Zeeble and have a 23rd primo and loop Darcy Cameron tonight and sort of loop Zeeble tomorrow and Will Day and guys like that. So I'm they're the two players I'm looking at. Not sure what way I'm going to go. I'm probably going to go the Laird option knowing me, but they're the two options I'm looking at. So, but yeah. So, Tim, what have you got in terms of your captains and vice captains? Have you had a look at that yet? Oh, Tim's on mute, so I think he's just dealing with something in the background there.
No, I'm all good.
Yeah. Captains, vice captains.
Did you ask me about my trades? Am I drunk or something like that? Did we talk about what my trades were going to be?
Oh no. Sorry. I thought you. It's my bad. What we trades, Tim?
It's all good, mate. I was like, oh my god, am I missing something? Like,
no, that's me missing something.
So Dacos obviously an issue. I mean, that was one of the big things for me last week. Was I got off the Neil train, and really Dacos was probably the one to get off. So yeah, look, I've a bit like you in a very similar position. I've got Dacos to deal with, and then I've got a Harry Sheasel and a Darcy Cameron on field. So it was kind of like which one of those goes out. And then, of course, I put the message out to a couple of really good coaches today, and one goat got back to me, and I didn't even see it. Maybe what I can do is actually loop Darcy Cameron tonight, and then depending on how he goes. I might edit my trade with Sicily. I might go him down to a Zeeble, which could allow me to bring in like a Luke Jackson in that F6, giving me like a second crack. And hopefully that can hold me strong enough to make it through the next week. But I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. But yeah, they're my trades. Captains. Well, look, right now, the VC is locked on Zach Merritt. Yep. And then, look, I've got the captain on Sicily at the moment, but like I said, I might be editing that trade. So, I haven't really finished thinking about my captains yet, to be perfectly honest. But, I've only just considered that looping option as well.
Yeah, no, that's all good. I'm similar to you. I've gone for the VC on Merritt. I think it's just too good to pass up. First game on the Saturday against North, and he's dominated North in the past. Whether they show attention to him, which they could easily do because Merritt's done so well against him in the past. But then I'm looking at going, Sicily is my backup captain. But one guy that I haven't seen spoken about as a captain pick, and I'm just trying to look up because I know Aaron Delaporte puts up the content creators like the captains who people have put captains. And I just want to see before I say anything if his name hasn't been floated around anywhere. So let's have a look. No, yeah, he hasn't. I'm surprised. Tim Taranto, he's been another guy I'm actually strongly considering as captain because a lot of people are off him, but Jacob Hopper isn't playing this week and they're playing the Saints, which is a good matchup. So
okay.
no one's looked
good.
him. So I'm considering if I wanted to make up some ground, that might be something I look at doing and going him as my captain.
When do they play?
Sunday. They play the game after.
It's a good pick.
They play after Bulldogs and Hawthorns. So yeah, if
mate, maybe this is the time of the year that you shine.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. So
maybe this is, maybe this is your time. We just needed to play you in
because content creators captains for round 22 on the 5-4-3-2-1 basis. So Aaron's put up. So Merritt comes at 19, Sarong 12, Bont 9, Sicily 8, Parish 4, Marshall 3, Brayshaw 2, and then you got Dawson, Libber, and English at 1. So I'm really surprised that Taranto isn't on that list. But hey, I'm not a captain picker, so there you go. But yeah, I'm looking at it. That could be something I use to maybe rise up the ranks with that. But we'll see how we go.
And then there could be a lot of funny business going on this weekend as well. Like with 3 rounds to go, finals starting for a lot of people. I mean, not long to go until it's all over and done with. We might find that people go some really left of field captains this week, trying to get a leg up or trying to get a win.
Yeah, and I probably should have said the Taranto one, so then I can kick that nugget to myself. But
I think that's a great pick. I mean, I think obviously I think Zach Merritt's a great pick. I think Darcy Parish is also a really good pick. Caleb's wrong, yeah. I mean, obviously West Coast give up a lot.
Yeah.
That's probably who I like the best.
I don't know, something about Sicily. I love him as a vice captain pick. He's got that ceiling, but something to me is him going captain. I wouldn't be shocked if the Bulldogs decide to put a guy like Anthony Scott next to him for the game. I don't know, someone like him, maybe not Anthony Scott, but because I've seen Anthony Scott has done a couple of jobs in the past. I just wouldn't be shocked if that happens.
Who is it? Did someone say Bailey Smith would be an awesome match? Could you imagine Bailey Smith on James Sicily?
that would be.
I think I'd love to see
quite funny. That'd be great viewing. So yeah, might have to get that done. Reach out to Bevo and Sam Mitchell. So get them to that matchup. But yeah, that's what we're looking at anyway. But we'll quickly get into some like the day cost chat because he's been traded out by over 50,000 coaches, which is no surprise because he's out for the rest of the year. So there's plenty of good options. You got defenders, and then if you've got a Shees on your forward line, you can flip him back, or even a Himmelberg if you're looking to maybe keep him for another week, which I'd trade because he's got Port. But you could bring a forward, or you can even bring a midfielder in if you like myself, if you've got a Dawson, Doherty, Will Day in your midfield. So we'll go through defenders first, Tim. So who do you like in defence? There's plenty of options. I think if you don't have a Dawson, Doherty or Sicily, they're probably the 3. But you've got guys like Stewart, who's got Collingwood, St Kilda and the Bulldogs to finish the year. You've got Nick Newman, who's been in good form. Jaden Shaw, Jack Zeeble, who's really cheap. Who do you like out of all those guys there? Or what are your what are your couple of points on those other guys at the end there that I mentioned? What are your thoughts?
So the one that I'm unsure about is Doc. I'm big on Sick Dog. I'm big on Dawson. I was just going to get into DFS just because, Newman seems to be playing more that role, and he's played obviously in the midfield with some of that midfield kind of madness that's gone through Carlton there, but also played out on that wing. So I'm just not sure that he's got those kind of ceiling scores in him like he would have if he was playing that kind of halfback role before. And he may well do, but I'm leaning towards fading him because I don't have him, and I'm kind of thinking about sticking with that line. Who else? Tom Stewart with his run, and I think. With the matchup tonight as well, I think he could go pretty well tonight.
Could again, he's one that could be a sneaky VC option. Just if you want to go someone really unique and very different, that could pump out. He hasn't gone a 150 or anything like that this year yet, and I think that he's going to do it at least once before the end of the year. So could be someone. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, and then I mean, once again, I think is that all the top 5? Who haven't we covered? Jack Sinclair. Did we talk about Sinclair?
No, we didn't talk about Sinclair. I don't know what your thoughts are on him. I sort of think that it's probably he's not quite. I don't know. It's probably not that.
What are the ball boys called him? The Richmond Eagles, playing the Richmond Eagles this week.
Yeah, he's got a good matchup this week. I just don't know if he's sort of that sexy pick that we're looking at. I guess that your Sicily's and even like a Jaden Short, who's got 2 amazing matchups. Look, when you got, who's he got? He's got
Jaden Short. Jaden Short, I like that. Nick Newman, I like Nick Newman's stealing, man.
Well, the reason I don't like Sinclair as much is because he's got Richmond this week, which is great, but then he's got Geelong. I know it's at Marvel, but he's Geelong, and he's got Brisbane and Gabba. So two toughish games to finish. So that's the only reason I probably wouldn't go him over some of these other options. But yeah, Jaden Short. I know Jake and a couple of other people brought him in last week for those really good matchups to finish. What are your thoughts on him? He's got a couple of good games to come.
Well, he wasn't really on my radar at all. But having listened to a couple of the podcasts this week and looking at the couple of matchups he's got coming, I'm just I think
he looked good in the second half.
And I think, this is also, what I was kind of saying before. I was kind of pleading for someone else to come on because I'm just fighting at this time of year. Like these luxury trades,
they're tough.
I must admit, there were times during the season where I felt like I was seeing them like beach balls. That kind of saying, like you could just see that. And not only that, I think sometimes you find, and this is what I found over the last couple of years as well. Sometimes you're able to get into a little bit of it's like almost like a flow where it's like every week you've got enough money to get to the perfect trade. And it's almost like each week the trades almost become too easy. But then, suddenly, and I was planning these last couple of weeks, I'd planned to have enough cash to finish my team, have, all the players I wanted. And then suddenly we've had players like, it kind of started with Flanders. And now we've got Luke Jackson. And now we've got Nick Newman. And now we've got Jack Zeeble. And it's cash doesn't fucking matter anymore. I've got, I can basically do 2 upgrades and do probably 2 of the best upgrades I can do. And I've still got $350,000 sitting in the bank.
Yeah.
So that's what's killed me this year is that just it hasn't played out the way that I thought it was going to play out in terms of cash. And now when I'm kind of staring at these trades, like I just don't have a lot of confidence in a Jaden Short, but he's definitely got the best kind of run. I do feel a little bit more confident in Nick Newman because I think he's got that role. I am worried about that game against GWS. But man, when he plays a very fantasy friendly role and he loves it.
Yeah.
So, you could easily see him going 130, 140. Who are the other options back there that we're kind of considering? Of course, your top 5 have already kind of talked about.
Yeah, so I'll just...
and a Jack Zeeble, right?
He's got 2 games left, so his final game will be next week. North Melbourne did confirm that. So if anyone's looking at him, it is a 2-week play. You're going to have to move him on, or if he's your 23rd premium, you'd have to stay on your bench in the final round because his last game will be against the Tigers next week.
That could be 2 150s. That could be a sub this week and a 150 next week.
That's I was going to say that's why I like it as the 23rd premium play, not as much as an on-field play straight up. But I guess if you're looking to sort of, as Calvin likes to say, if you want to hit a 6 and you need that cash that can go like a Himmelberg up to a Dunkley and you can get Zeeble, then I don't mind the play.
It's bloody $605,000. Like I can pretty much upgrade anyone on my bench to him. Well, not anyone, but there's a number of rookies on my bench I can get to him easily. So yeah, but then of course it depends. I think this also depends on your strategy a little bit as well, right? So for me, the hat chase is over. Content Creators Cup, because we set up a league where we wanted to make sure that each team only played each other once. It meant that we've only got 2 rounds to go. We don't have a round 24 in the Content Creators Cup. So I think Jack Zeeble is definitely a play for someone like me because 2 weeks is I'm happy with the 2-week
Yeah,
play.
so it's just some of the other options that we probably didn't. So Luke Ryan's probably one of the forgotten men here. So he's got the Eagles this week. Then he's got Port, which is tough, but it is at Optus, and he's got Hawthorn. So he's a bit.
Who was talking? I mean, I don't know if you've. I mean, like I said, I'm not up to date with all the pods and all that this week. But wasn't someone talking about Luke Ryan's role changing a little bit? It's changed over the past couple of weeks.
I'm not sure.
I just want to flag that.
Yeah, so he got a 76 last week. The week before he got a 112, 98, 90, 142. So he's just the game last week was a little bit down, but he's still been pretty solid. Still averaging 100 for the year.
Yeah. Eagles this week, obviously, good matchup. Jeez.
Yeah, could be a good unique there. You got a Whitfield, but I couldn't go there. He's got too tough a run as well. Poor Essendon and Carlton to finish the year. I couldn't do it, but hey, if you're keen, I guess he's someone there. Duggan's another one, sort of been getting the job done. Hasn't been the ceiling in the last month, 84, 99, 83, 96, but could be a play there. They're probably the ones. And if you want to go extremely risky, but almost like high reward, is Mitch Duncan, who's got Collingwood, St Kilda, and Bulldogs. Because only 3 games left. You just need to play 3 weeks. So he could be one there. But they're probably the main ones there. But we'll move to the mids just quickly for those people that have got maybe a midfielder and they're looking at getting for Dacos or a forward. Then we'll get into the questions. But
so actually, before we go, well, just while we're on defenders, thoughts on Harry Sheezel? Not to bring in, obviously. Well, I can't imagine you'd be thinking about bringing
trade out.
But yeah,
I would still.
How do you see this week going
against the Bombers? I think you'll still go okay against the Bombers. It's at Marvel. Again, if he's your worst player, I think he can go. I think it's simple as that. If you've got Himmelberg, I'd definitely trade Himmelberg over Sheezel. I think Himmelberg's got Port in Adelaide this week. Too tough matchup. I wouldn't want to be keeping Himmelberg. I'd still rather keep Sheezel. If you've got a Mills, that's potentially one where you go. Mills still didn't have the role. I know he scored well last week, but could you jump off Mills and actually get to a premium midfielder instead of going Sheezel to a forward or a defender? I'd probably rather move on Mills. But yeah, like Darcy Cameron, you could even move on potentially before him. But it's that call that I think he can go, and it's team dependent, as Mini Mutt likes to say. But if he is your worst player, I think he can go. That's probably my thoughts on Sheezel.
Yeah. I mean, I know that. I'm kind of just trying to figure out where he might play. Do you think he's going to get that role off half back? Do you think Clark is going to give him that juicy role? Do you think Zeebel's going to get it? Do you think he kind of just had a bad game last week? Like the play kind of just missed him a little bit? Or that's
what you were saying on the pod with the traders. Obviously, if you guys, I'm assuming everyone has checked it out by now, but if you haven't, go have that listen on the Monday one where the traders talked to Sheezel, and he just said he couldn't get near it. So it just obviously just a bad game for him. But the concern is if you look at their side and who they've got. So Sheezel's been named at the moment. I can't actually find where Sheezel is. Oh no, so he's been named at half forward. But if you look at their team, they've got Core, Mackay, Archer, McDonald, Taron Thomas, Gota named half back or in the back line at the moment. But then you've also got Zeeble on the bench. So that's potentially 7 defenders there. And then if you've got Sheezel, that's 8. So there is a chance that Sheezel doesn't play in that defence role because they've got a few defenders. So I think it is that bit of risky play where he could play anywhere. So you might just want to move off for that.
There's lots of flags, waving very furiously.
Yeah. And then moving to the midfield. So I don't think I'd jump on Bont this week just because I think there could be a tag coming from a few people been talking about McGuinness tagging, but I don't think McGuinness will go to Bont. I think it'll be Connor Nash that goes to Bont. Connor Nash matches up really well against Bont and tagged him early in the year to, I think, a 90. So I don't know if I'd be jumping on him. I don't know if you get that instant reward. I wouldn't jump on Oliver. He's got Carlton. Merritt, if you don't have, is a great option. Laird's a good option against Brisbane at the Gabba. Petrarca, I wouldn't go this week, but could be an option maybe in the final couple of weeks there. Sarong's a great option against the Eagles. You could go Brad Crouch against the Tigers. I don't know if he's my favourite option to bring in, but he's still there. Libba's a good pod against the Hawks. Brayshaw against the Eagles is a good option. Parrish is still a good option against North. Trelaw, if you want to go risky.
I think Parrish once again, it was kind of these last 2 games. Well, not last 2, sorry, last week and this week that, we were really waiting for those Essendon matchups. So I think Parrish is right up there.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, him and Merritt for me are up there. I like Sarong as well, and Laird. They're probably the four that I'd look at. If you don't have any of those four, I'd go for them. And then just quickly with the forwards as well. Most people have already got Goulden, Rosie, Taranto, Cogs as the four, but I guess the top ones that you don't have, if you don't have a Dunkley yet, he's still a good option. I think last week he just didn't quite look up. He just looked a bit sluggish and wasn't quite up for it in a way. But I think he'll be fine, and we'll go back to his high-scoring ways. Then you've got Butters if you want to jump on him, and then McRae if you want to go someone with the good matchups, but I'm not sure about him. And then
go Luke Jackson if you want to go on the forwards.
I was just about to get down to him. So the value ones there, you've got your Flanders, but Luke Jackson's the one there. If someone had the choice between a Butters and a Jackson, are you going a Jackson?
Yes, I would be. Look, I think he's a major play this week, and I've actually been off him the last couple of weeks and probably not called it right. But he's got Eagles. I think I'm not sure if they're currently, but they were one of the easiest ruck matchups previously. And then is it Port Adelaide next week?
Yeah, so there'll be Sam Hayes because Vicentini's injured, so still good matchup.
Yeah. So that's a great couple of weeks. So that's where I'd be going, and he'd be somewhat unique.
So if
I think that's the
if they had Butters and they were looking at either Dunkley or Jackson, are you paying up for the big guy in Dunkley, or are you getting the value in Jackson? Or again, is it this the one where it's team dependent, where if you can use the cash somewhere else, you go Jackson? But if you could just get Dunkley, you're getting Dunkley if it doesn't matter.
Well, I think it's more. I think it's even more complicated than that. I think it's what are you playing for, right? So, are you playing for finals? Are you playing for the best rank? Because it may purely and simply come down to your matchup this week. Like if you're in the finals, there's probably many of your matchups you might only have 5 or 6 unique players. And if you're looking to trade in and you've got the option of bringing in, you need a forward and you bring in Luke Jackson, who's pretty unique and, has 2 super easy matchups and could quite easily go, 120, 120. That could really take care of you for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into some. Sorry, you're going to say.
What's Josh? I was just going to Dunk. I haven't considered Dunk. He's in my side, so I haven't considered what his matchups are. Adelaide, they're pretty rough matchup, aren't they? And Collingwood.
St Kilda to finish.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Saints is a nice matchup, right, to finish. But
I think Dunkley's matchup for me. I think he can score well in any game. But obviously, if he's got those easy matchups, he could go like 160.
Yeah. Look, you're right. If you haven't got Dunkley, bring in Dunkley. But if you've got Dunkley, I'd be going Jackson.
Yeah, I agree. I'd 100% agree with that. So we'll get into the questions. So if you guys are listening in, either on Twitter or YouTube, send your questions through and we'll get to as many as we can. And if anyone wants to jump on for a chat, then feel free. So short.
Before we get into the questions as well, just to give people enough time. So, it's varsity night tonight. So AFL Fantasy Perth, Cara, who, is now a celebrity. She's been on basically every bloody podcast there is over the past couple of weeks. And what a freaking legend she is too. So, we all know that she's organised the AFL Fantasy Perth, footy Friday night, varsity nights. Tonight's one of those nights. It's happy hour from 5 till 6. I'll be heading down there. I know Cara's heading down there. I know there's a bunch of other people heading down there as well. So, if you want to come down and join us, even if you're on your own, don't worry about that. Most of us initially came down on our own too. So come and join us.
Well, that leads into the small announcement that I'll be making. I'll be back in Perth next Thursday. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting over to watch the Crowies and Eagles in the final game of the season. So I'll be back at varsity for round 23 and 24. So, yeah.
Well, actually, Bale, since you're, I didn't know you were going to do that, tell people, but maybe we should also just leak something a little bit small. So we're thinking about putting something together for the last round of the year. So and our Twitter space that we do after the last game of the round. So we're actually talking to varsity about maybe booking out that projector room, organising a bit of a thing where everyone comes along, we'll watch that last game, we can fucking cheer down the, whoever's the overall winner. We can, look at who's going to be the overall winner for the Content Creators Cup. We can basically just have some beers and have some burgers and then we'll do our kind of live show and And I mean, it's not locked in or confirmed. It's just a bit of an idea that we've got now. But I thought we might as well let people know so they can start, save the date or something along those lines. Start telling their mates. Start letting people know. And, see if we can get, 30 or 50 people down to watch a footy and have some fun.
Well, there you go. I wasn't expecting you guys for that, but I was just saying I was heading to Perth. But there you go. So, yeah, if you guys are free, then, let us know. First question is from Sean. So he says, who are we trading at first out of Anderson, Neil, and Flanders? And he's got the second part of the question. So we'll answer that first. So I don't think we're trading at Flanders out of the three, but who are you going first out of Anderson and Neil? Who are you trading?
I would be trading Anderson, I think. Is Lucky Neil due a tag this week, or is that last week?
I think he could get tagged this week against the Crows. I think Keys could go to him.
That's right. Oh, so maybe it's not the play this week then.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really tough one. I said to Cara last week I'd trade out Neil over Anderson, and Neil outscored Anderson by about 20 points. So
yeah, I made that mistake last week.
So.
Well, not over Anderson, just trading
I think
Neil.
you still trade. I think this week you trade Anderson out first because it's not guaranteed that Neil will get a tag, and his role is secure, whereas Anderson's role is changing. Took's back in this week. That's another midfielder there. It's sort of changing. So
the Gold Coast.
Oh, I think we lost Tim. I can't hear Tim. Unless that's just me. Hang on, I'm just double checking. No,
I'm back. That's all
he's
right.
back. Oh, here he is.
I was waving my arms around and I hit the bloody, the cord of the...
And unplugged.
Unplugged, fell on the floor, all that kind of stuff. Sorry, what was the question?
Neil or Anderson trading out.
Oh, we're still on this, Jesus. I think it's Anderson.
Yeah,
what was I about to say? Was I about to say something brilliant and then I got cut off?
I was saying about Took. I said about Took coming back in. I think you were going to say something about that.
Gold Coast run. That's what I was going to say.
They got Sydney this week. Tough matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I'd trade Anderson first. And then the second part is, are we going to Parrish, Laird, or Jackson? I think when you're looking at Parrish and Laird and Jackson, I think that's where probably Jackson isn't the option. Oh, God. This is awful. I don't know why I'm going to say Parrish.
No, I'm going to say Parrish as well. Yeah.
I don't like it, but I have to say it.
I love it. I love that you're saying it too.
Oh man,
mate, you're
going to be messaging me saying, yeah, bloody hell. But no, if it's next week, I'd probably go Laird. But you want Laird by the end of the year. That's all I'm going to say. I've got to say that about Laird anyway. But Jacob's got the next one here. He said, gents, would you go Shaw and Libba or Newman and Jackson?
Oh,
where are we going? That's a tough one.
I'm really tempted by the Newman and Jackson. It seems super risky, but I'm
short on Libba there. I think that the floor is high, and I think the ceiling is maybe not as high, but I think it's not too far off. Whereas if you want to hit that 6 and you want two guys that can go 140, Newman and Jackson could be
and that's
that
what
pair.
It is, right? You made that choice because of the floor, right? Whereas I made the choice because of the ceiling. So that's kind of that's the split between that choice.
Yeah, probably depends where you're ranked in a way as well. If you're trying to make up big ground and you want to go for something to hit that 6, it probably is Newman and Jackson. But if you want the safer floor, Short and Libba's probably the play. But who's Newman got in his last 3? So he's got Melbourne this week. Then he's got Giants in the final game. Who's in between? Gold Coast. I don't know. I'm torn. Go what Tim says. Tim's ranked high, so go Newman and Jackson.
Like I said, I gave a disclaimer at the beginning of this pod that I'm not in the place of giving the best advice. But I think that's the difference. You make the call. What are you after? Are you trying to hold rank? Are you? Look, I mean, I think this is the decision you've got to make, right? It's plain and simple. What are you playing for now? Are you playing for overall rank? Are you playing for leagues? And if you're playing for overall rank, the question is then, are you trying to climb? Like, are you willing to, take a little bit of risk to try and climb? Or do you want to try and play it safe and hold your rank, right? And then, if that in that case, right, if you're trying to hold rank, I think, you go for the players that have the higher floor, right? So you go for a, what was that first option there?
Short and Libber.
Short and Libber, right? Look, Short, great run. And then Libber's, his form's been outstanding, right? And I think Dogs have got a good run too. So
would you go Short and Jackson and put a midfielder in your forward in your midfield? Would you do that? And go Jackson over Libber?
No, I don't think I would. Okay, look, there's also a chance. Didn't Jackson pretty much stink it up the week before as well?
I think got like a 70. I think got a 79 or something like
that. But
it
wasn't just that he score, right? Like did he get a lot of hit outs, but he didn't really tackle. And didn't really
he got a 79 against Geelong, and then Sydney got an 88. His hit outs in those games were, he had 43 against Sydney. He just didn't have the marks and tackles, which was very odd. That was an odd game. We were both at that game there. And then the Geelong game, he only had the 19 hit outs. So that was what sort of restricted his score then. So everything sort of fell into place last week.
Yeah, look, the more I talk through this, I think it's actually Short and Libber.
Yeah, I like Short. Go Short and Libber, Jacob. I reckon I'd go those two. John says, how about Jeremy Cameron instead of Zebra as an F6 for a 1 week play? I personally wouldn't. He's got Collingwood this week. I could still see him not.
Still 3 weeks
scoring huge.
It's too early for a play like that.
Yeah.
And he's got Tex Walker, right? You wouldn't bring him in now. You'd bring him in at 24.
He's going to have Darcy Moore tonight as well because Hawkins is Hawkins still out? I'm not sure if Hawkins came back in or anything. Yeah, so you got Shannon Neal came in. So Hawkins isn't playing. So Cameron's going to be up against Darcy Moore. And I just realised that Nathan Murphy's named. And they said he was out to be out for like 2 to 3 weeks. But there you go.
In a bit of that
I wouldn't be going for Jeremy Cameron there, John. Who else we got here? Sneeko says Goulden VC. What are your thoughts on Goulden? I could see him getting tagged against Gold Coast. Gold Coast are a weird team that like tagging people when you don't expect it. So I don't know what you think about that. I still think he's playing isn't he playing at the exact same time as? Yeah, he's playing the same time as Merritt and Parrish. I'd rather those two over Goulden this week. I don't know about you, Tim.
Yeah, definitely. Look, if you're trying to get off Merritt and get another player, I'd be going to ask Parrish, not Errol Goulden.
Yeah, agreed. Daniel says best 2 out of Matt Crouch, Newman, Jackson, and Short. So I think with those 4, I think Matt Crouch probably the bottom, just because the other 3 have got those high ceilings. Would you agree with that? Would you put him at the bottom?
Yep.
So who would you be going? Newman, Jackson, and Short. How are you ranking those 3?
Short, Jackson, Newman.
I would agree. I think I'd probably go that. I'd go Short out of those. I just like Short as an option, really do. What else we got here? Stallin's saying Hayes is out. They've just got Finlayson rucking now. Is that true?
Yeah, I actually saw that. Let me just have a quick look. Port Adelaide game.
Yeah,
Finlay. Yeah, you're right.
So Jackson's going to be up against Finlayson next week unless Vicentini comes in. So bloody hell, that's going to be a good matchup, isn't it? Anthony said that he likes the idea of the last round at varsity bar in Perth. Thanks, Anthony. Thanks for letting us know, mate.
That'd be wicked. Thanks, Anthony.
Wado says, who's fiddling around with the chips in this video? Oh, no, that was just Tim's thing when it sort of disconnected. So it must have just done like a bit of a rattling. But we're all good now.
Hang on. No, I'm occasionally eating M&M's as well. So it could be that. Peanut M&M's.
Oh, so Wado's on you, Tim. He's on the M&M's there.
Having an afternoon snack, all right?
Yeah. Just getting ready for varsity, mate.
That's right.
MJ says, any concerns over Neil this week? Yeah, as I flagged before, maybe Keys could go to him, but it's not locked in because you got Crouch, Dawson, Laird as the 3 main mids for the Crows, but I'm not ruling it out. Crows need to win the game, and who better to shut down than Lockie Neal? So it could be there. Brisbane Bloods Fantasy. Can I VC Duncan? Oh, it's a bit of a sort of a really risky...
Let me answer that question. You can.
You can. Yeah, you can.
You can.
If you're going to go Merritt captain, if he's your number 1 option, you can always go him captain tomorrow and sort of fall on that. So yeah, you could if you want to go something risky.
Look, I'd
rather Stewart VC personally over Duncan. I think Stewart's been the better player throughout this year. I think Duncan's been pretty much a lot of 80s and then 120s. So,
look, the other thing is I probably should acknowledge I do like the way he's thinking. Like, we have talked in the past couple of weeks about, who do you think is going to be best and putting the VC on. Hang on. I'm confusing. No, don't worry about it. I've confused myself. I'm so off this week.
That's all right. It's all good, Tim. Nozza says, first trade, he's going Dacos to Newman. So which should he do for his second trade? Himmelberg to Jackson or Anderson to Sarong or Parrish? Oh, that's tough.
Oh,
I'm Berg to Jackson.
Surely.
Yeah, I'm Berg to Jackson there.
Yeah, got to get rid of the Berg.
Yeah.
What's he been doing? I mean, I haven't paid any attention, but what's he been scoring on?
So he got a 112 2 weeks ago, but that was, I still feel like that was one out.
That was one out of the
box.
bag.
Yeah. So he got a 73 last week, then he got 62 the week before, then a 112, 77,
get the
75.
Fuck off.
And he's got Port Adelaide this week and then the Bombers and Carlton. So you have to get off Himmelberg.
A 62 against the Dogs, and Dogs are normally pretty good as a defensive matchup. Has he still been playing defence? He hasn't moved. I can't imagine he's
still been defence. He's still been defence, and he still will play. They've got Keith, Riccardi, and Hogan, but you got to get off him. Tia has got this question: trade Windhager to Jackson in my forward line, and Windhager's on her bench, so she can go
bench.
Luke, Darcy, Cameron, depending on what he scores tonight, moving Sheasel to the bench, or would you just go Sheasel straight to Jackson? No, if you can do that play, if you can go Windhager to Jackson and you can loop Sheasel and Darcy Cameron, do that, because you're just going Sheasel to Jackson anyway, so you might as well, go Windhager out and go loop, 100%.
I love it.
Rosa,
nice trades, by the way.
Love them. Love the trades. Rosa trading Sheasel and Dacos to. Hang on. Or do I go Short and Butters, Jackson and Parrish, or Jackson Libber? I'd be going Jackson and Parrish.
Jackson Parrish, yeah.
That's the one there. Matt Salt, legend who we met in Perth. So good on Matt there. Which is the better trade, Windhager and Dacos to Short and Luke Ryan, or Sicily and Zeeble? Is it Sicily and Zeeble?
Look, here's what I want to say about Zeeble. So once again, we kind of said it at the beginning of the pod, right? So we know it's only 2 weeks. So he's not playing that round 24. We know that. Yeah. And then, there is a high chance that, he racks up next week being his last game because, history tells us that that's what a lot of those players do in their last game. He's certainly one of those players. I mean, I'm just saying forward for a goal.
Shanahan round 24. Could be a play.
What? So, right. So, there's a couple of those kind of plays in round 24, right? But the whole question is this week.
Yeah.
And we have no idea. Like, he might get a game like he got last week where he scores 170, or he might get subbed out after scoring 70 in the first, half of the game, or him and Sheasel might share it up, or God knows. Like, he could be a 170 or he could be a 50.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it's could be.
And I can't tell you which one he's going to be. Yeah. And I think it's 50-50 too. Like, so I think you make your call based on other things. You know, like where you're at, what you're trying to achieve this week. If it's leagues, when your leagues finish, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And sorry, Tim, that was my bad. I shouldn't have interrupted, mate. Apologies for that one. What do we got? So Tia says, thanks, guys, for answering. No problem, Tia. Thanks for sending your questions through. Anthony Beresford, another legend I met in Perth. Do I go Dacos and Sheasel to Bont and Zeeble, or Sarong and Jackson? So Bont and Zeeble, Sarong. I think you go Sarong and Jackson this week, I reckon. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Bont. Did I say Bunt? Bunt. Is a tag risk this week.
Yeah, I don't see
Sarong up against the Eagles.
Yeah, I don't see Bond going 130 or anything like that this week. I think I could see him going at 110, 120, but yeah, I think Sarong and Jackson's the play this week against the Eagles. Matt Salt.
I think they're great trades, by the way, as well. I think they're also great trades.
Matt says, cheers, thanks for answering, guys. And he said, yep, he's going to go Zeeble. So thanks, Matt, for sending the questions through. James says, hey, guys, who should I trade first? Gawn, Sheasel, or Darcy Cameron? you keep Gawn. Don't think you're trading Gawn. Oh, actually, no. Hang on. Grundy's named. So do you trade?
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So do you trade Gawn over Sheasel and Darcy Cameron?
So I do feel a little I mean, I've got to take whatever wins I can get this week, right? I do feel a little bit redeemed in terms of not taking that Gawn trade a couple of weeks ago now that Grundy's come back in. I mean, not that we thought that this would be the way it would happen through an injury, but we had concerns he could come back in, and I mean that's kind of torpedoed those that brought in Gawn. They got to do a luxury trade, and then if you got to trade out Gawn and you got to trade out bloody Dacos, then
you might still have a Himmelberg or Sheasel or someone like that still rolling, and you don't want them this week. But
yeah. So now there is a play to possibly hold Gawn because maybe they keep Grundy, solely focused on his forward craft. But once again, it's it's another question, right? He could be an 80 or he could be a 140.
I still think I'd be holding Gawn over Darcy Cameron and Sheasel though for the week.
Yeah. I think that's.
So you're trading out of Sheasel and Darcy Cameron. Is it Sheasel for the uncertainty in role, and we know what Darcy Cameron's role is? I'm just having
I think
a look here. I don't think Frampton's in for Collingwood, so Mason Cox isn't in. So it's going to be Darcy Cameron's going to be the main ruck again.
Yes, sole ruck. But I mean, the problem with Darcy Cameron is he just hasn't been getting any ceiling scores. I mean, I think his highest score for the year is a 109.
Yeah, 109. Yeah.
He's hardly gone over one. I think he's only gone over 103 times or something like that. I mean, that probably doesn't include a 99, which I'd count as 100. I'd take it. That's for sure. But look, I mean, what did you get last week? An 80? I mean, I think that's what you can expect as an 80 to 100 from him. I don't think you can expect over 100. Maybe you average it and say he's a 90. But then, if he's a 90, what's a Luke Jackson this week at F6? What's a Sam Flanders at F6? Yeah. So I think that's how you got to think about it. And, I mean, he's probably, once again, a safer play. Also, can you loop? Can you upgrade a Windhager or an Elijah Hewitt? I mean, I don't have a mid-forward DPP that I can use, but Elijah Hewitt is, what's he, mid-300s? I can get him up to a Jack Siebel.
Yeah. See, it's the more we're talking, the more I'm leaning towards getting Sarong and Jackson this week. Sarong and Siebel this week. But then, hang on. But then again, but then I want Jack. Then I want Jack.
Oh, do you mean it's the loop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, I'm torn. I don't know.
Let's get Fry to tell us.
Fry on. Fry, mate. How you going?
I'm well, gentlemen. Happy Friday, Arvo.
Can you sort us out, mate? I think we're talking shit.
All right. So talk me through your hypothetical. What are you thinking, mate?
So Tim, you go first.
No. You go. Let's talk this question.
All right. So, what the question we're just discussing, or my trades?
Oh, your trades.
Because this one answers people's because they're looking. So what I'm looking at doing this week, Fries. So Dacos is going to a midfielder, right? So I can go to Laird, and then I can go Darcy Cameron to Jackson, and then that's done. I've got 22 premiums, and that's fine. The other play I'm looking at is going a Dacos to Sarong, and then going Chesser to Zeeble, and looping Darcy Cameron tonight with Jack Zeeble tomorrow. And if Darcy Cameron goes well, I can loop Zeeble with Will Day in my defence. So I don't know what your thoughts are on those two options.
I think I personally like the second one, only because I think I prefer Sarong over Lairdy.
I could get Sarong.
We talked it through last week. I didn't even get Rory Laird after all that. I ended up getting Dunkley. So I still, like we said this time last week, still very keen on Rory Laird. But yeah, there's not much split in the two. So could you get Sarong and still...
Yeah, get Jackson, in the first one.
Do that Jackson upgrade?
Yeah, I could get Sarong and Jackson. It just means no looping, whereas I could get Zeeble and loop.
What do you think about Jackson this week? I mean, obviously he's got a great matchup.
Fries the Freo man.
I am, and I was actually at the game on the weekend against the Lions, and I didn't really check too much fantasy stuff. I was kind of just trying to watch the actual footy, and it looked like he was almost playing as an extra midfielder, despite the fact that he had 44 hitouts. Once the ball hit the ground, he was running around just like Sarong and Brayshaw. So I still think he's a strong play to close the season. I don't know if we're going to get another 130 plus out of him, but I think he's got a couple of, Port Adelaide's ruck is a bit all over the shop next week. He's obviously got Bailey Williams and West Coast this week. So I still think he's a very strong play. And if you're not getting one of the gun top 6 forwards that we've talked about for months now, then I think Jackson's probably the 7th guy I like. And then maybe Zeeble just a bit behind him. It's a tricky one because Zeeble, obviously, at his price point, potentially frees up a couple of dollars to facilitate trades over the next couple of weeks. But you know that he's not going to be playing the last game. I still think I prefer Luke Jackson, though.
Yeah. Well, so, are you a fan of getting Zeeble as like a 23rd primo and looping him, Darcy Cameron, and if Cameron goes well, Zeeble and Day instead of getting Jackson?
If you've got that luxury, I mean, I was really not against the 23rd premium, but you never obviously know what's going to happen each round. I still think, and compared to, Zeeble, he's obviously going to be playing his farewell game. And I know the Traders boys flagged it. There is a potential that, they just sling him forward to try and kick a goal in his last game. Now, granted, that might be in the last 5 or 10 minutes, but I do wonder if he's going to have, a massive 120, 130 to close out the year. He may even just junk it up a little bit in their back line. But I think I still prefer Jackson. We know his role's there. It's locked in. He's got a couple of fantasy-friendly fixtures. You never know, obviously, what's going to happen throughout the weekend. So I think I'd rather roll the dice on Jackson. And like you said, Bales, lock in that confirmed 22. And then I'm someone that's looking at a similar deal with my trades. I don't really know whether to downgrade Chesser or to try and get the points on the field. So I think I'd prefer the first option, the Jackson, and then either pick in between Sarong or Laird. But there's not a ton separating the two.
Yeah, no, it's tough. So
I know that is me kind of sitting a little bit, but I'd go Jackson as a definitive answer over Zeeble. But again, depending on how other people's teams are looking, you could definitely make a play for Zeeble. Hope he scores really well over the next 2 weeks, and then frees up a little bit of extra cash for maybe some other upgrades.
Yeah, and then we're not going to go through Tim's. No, I'm only joking. So Tim, you want to run through yours?
Look. So it's kind of thinking of doing something a little bit similar. So a day cost to a sick dog.
Yep.
At the moment, and then what I've done is loop Darcy Cameron, see how he goes with his score, and then what I can do is figure out my next trade. So if he goes well, then probably what I'll do is just upgrade a Sheasel, as I'm a bit worried about how he might go this week. But if Darcy Cameron fails, then what I can do is I can edit my James Sicily trade, maybe to a Jack Zeeble.
Okay.
And then I can bring in a Luke Jackson at F6.
Yeah, I don't hate that shout. And obviously, Tim, you're right up near the pointy end, so there's a lot at stake. I think the Dacos to Sicily move is going to be the most popular one throughout the whole competition. I'm doing it with one of my trades as well. So having that potential edit up your sleeve and maybe not going left of field, but you know what I mean? Just going down a different route to what the mainstream coaches are doing. It may gain you a couple of extra points, and obviously it allows you to, if Darcy flops, and still get to Luke Jackson and still have Zeeble in your back line. So I'm also trading out Sheasel this week, so I see the appeal in that. But I think the way that you talked it through and kind of seeing how Darcy Cameron scores tonight in the loop position and then kind of going from there, I think that's a smart play.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
All right, beautiful. Well, we'll rapid fire through a couple of last minute questions here. So let's get through a couple. So Corey says, Dacos and Hobbs to Jackson and Sicily. I can say for everyone on here, great trades and ticking both of those. Actually, Corey then said, Dacos and who out of Hobbs and Himmelberg for Jackson and Sicily. So who are you getting rid of out of Hobbs and Himmelberg?
Jeez, who's Essendon? Oh, hang on. I probably want to hold Hobbs, I would think.
It's a tough one, hey, because
Hobbs has been scoring too well, I don't think.
Yeah, since Merritt and Parrish have kind of had the lion's share of the midfield touches and snaps, obviously Hobbs has been one of the ones that suffered. So,
so the four games
spot to be in, but
the four games since the games since Parrish has been back, Hobbs 73, 70, 63, 43, 73, 55. Now Hobbs got to go.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the one.
Yeah, Hobbs definitely. Andrew says Nick Dacos to Connor Nash with extra cash, then Ben Keys to Luke Jackson. What are your thoughts on Connor Nash's option? I think he went 120 last week.
Those are some unique trades. I've actually got Connor Nash driving one of my draft keeper teams. He's been sitting in the final midfield spot. Had 125 last week, but
you got a 53 the week before, 64.
A little bit up and down, I was going to say. So I don't know if you can trust a guy like that, and pocketing that extra bit of cash is a nice idea. The one bloke, I think I mentioned him last week, and I know that there's a couple of coaches keen on him as well, is Jaden Short. He's around the 750 mark. He could be another one that,
if you can get there,
you can't get Dacos to Sicily or to another gun mid. He's potentially someone other than Zeeble that you could maybe save a couple of bucks with to, again, facilitate other deals. But I don't love Connor Nash.
Yeah, I was going to say you can go Zeeble because he's a bit cheaper as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Jason, Jackson or Flanders? I think we can all say we'd say Jackson with the matchups to come at the moment. And Gold Coast got a bit of a tough run. Sam says Doherty or Short? Who are we going?
I think you go Doc.
This is a good question.
I think it is.
I think it's Short.
Saving a bit of extra dosh and using that around the grounds could potentially get rid of a Windy or someone else that's floating around for him. But
yeah,
I think I'd say Doc. I think I'd just side with the Uber Premium and your back line. Right. But in saying that, watch him score 87 on the weekend and Short have 120.
I don't know. I feel like you could go Short in that one just because Sam, it's probably, again, dependent where you're ranked. If you're trying to hold your rank, you go Doc or whatever. If you're trying to gain rank, I think Short could be the play.
Do you want safety or ceiling?
Exactly.
If you want the safety, go Doc. If you want the ceiling, go
Chicken lentil soup says thoughts on which combo, Zeeble and Liver or Short and Matt Crouch with 122k for next week for that second option. So what are we doing there?
Who is the second player that he grabbed with Matt Crouch? Sorry,
Short.
I think I like that one. Matt Crouch is someone that I'm waiting for him to just drop an 80 any week now, but he keeps getting his hands on the footy, and he has done for the better part of, call it, 5 years. So,
what do you think about Matt Crouch? Bale's been there
lately. Yeah, good question.
I know he got a 120 last week. I still think that he's more a better player for the Crows system than a fantasy scorer in the role that he's in at the moment. I don't see him, Laird and Dawson all going 110s, 120s, maybe around 24 when they've got the Eagles potentially. But when it's like Brisbane at the Gabba, Sydney at Adelaide Oval, I see Crouch going back-to-back 80s, I think. So I'm just having a look. So because Chicken Little Soup said he's got a 120k for next week. So Matt Crouch is 728. So you could get yourself up to someone around the 840 mark. So if you can get Nick Newman instead of Matt Crouch, I'd prefer to go there. You've also got you've got a few other options that are a little bit more expensive. If you can go Newman and Short, I don't know if you guys would do that instead.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. You can obviously put Short into the midfield thanks to his dual position. So I'd probably prefer to get Newman and Short.
Yeah, I'd agree. So, all right. Well, I think we're going to have to cut it there because it is 5 p.m. in Perth and Varsity is calling Tim. So, but Fry, mate.
Happy hour started, mate. Yeah. Happy hour started. That's what it
Fry,
is.
before we let everyone go, what were your trades that you're looking at doing this week, and who are your VC and C?
So very similar to, I reckon, 85% of coaches. I'm doing Dacos to Sicily with one of my moves, and then I actually held Lockie Neal last week after all the talk about trading him out, and I thought about trading him up, but I can't really get to anyone I love. So Sheasel to Short will be my second move, and then I'll probably just go vanilla with my VC and put it on Zach Merritt, although I'm very tempted to go with Errol Goulden as well. And then if one of them fails, I'll probably pick English or Marshall as my skipper.
Oh, there you go. Beautiful. Who have they got this week? So Reeves has got English and Marshall has got Richmond. So there you go. Perfect. Beautiful. Thanks, Fry, for jumping on at the end there, mate. Where can the people find you and the Sports by Fry podcast?
My pleasure, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me. A little bit later than usual, but that Sports by Fry, you'll find the weekly podcast for fantasy stuff. And then, like I've teased for a couple of weeks, I've got some NFL and NBA things in the works as well. So once the fantasy season hits curtains, then I'll launch into that.
I love it, mate. Looking forward to the NFL season starting myself. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you next week at some point, mate, when I'm back over in Perth. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to it as well.
Beautiful. Tim, mate, where can the people find you?
Tim Guest, are you?
Yeah, beautiful. And make sure you go and sign up to the 5-module program that Tim's got at Infinite Wealth. Make sure you go to infinitewealth.com.au/AFL Fantasy and get your 5-step module. And yeah, beautiful. And you can find me at BalesDT on Twitter and trulybailshd on YouTube. We'll be back Sunday night for the usual Sunday night review. So make sure you guys tune in there, and I'll be live for the watch along tomorrow night. I'm just having a look at the games. Who's playing tomorrow night? So we got Carlton,
the Matildas,
Melbourne.
mate. All that matters is the Matildas.
Carlton, Melbourne, and Eagles, Freo. Probably going to do Eagles, Freo, I reckon. That seems like the more.
I'm going to the game. It's the Derby, buddy. It's going to be awesome.
I'll be doing the Derby for the watch long. So if anyone wants to tune in tomorrow night and chat fantasy, then feel free. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. And yeah, if you haven't checked out the pod from earlier in the week, with Mini Monk and DT Lemon, make sure you do and give us a 5-star rating and review. We've got one review. If one person can leave a review, I'll read it out on Sunday night. So if we can get a few, that would be fantastic. But no, appreciate everyone's support. We'll catch everyone.
We've been reduced to bribing people. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Bribing people for reviews.
I'll go write one for you.
Awesome.
To at least have one to read out.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. But no, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on Sunday night. Have a good weekend and good luck for round 22. Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya. Good on you, everyone.
Cheers.
Ciao.